Welcome, Tricia. Welcome to day number 4 of quantum time travel. So our theme for today is the self-fulfilling prophecy and the circular time in action. And we're going to be talking a little bit more myth than usual, and we're going to be covering this myth of Pachakuti, the great turning. So let's start our session as usual with dropping down to our breath to prepare ourselves for the session for it. So I invite you to connect to your heart space, and let's take some deep inhalations and deep exhalations as well. Prepare ourselves to enter timeless space. Let's feel our feet on the Mother Earth and sense our breath in our body and connect our hearts to the field. Let's in a way step into the great turning, Pachakuti. Pacha, which means the world, space, and the time, meaning Kuti, the turning. So this is the great transformation, the time of Pachakuti, where the myth is saying that the eagle of the north and the Condor of the south will be flying together. So uniting this masculine and feminine, restoring balance to the world. So this path is standing also in front of us today. So it's like this, in this turning, the timelines, they loosen, and all stories, they release their grip. And in a way, we can say through the field that infinite possibilities, they kind of open up and shimmer in all directions. So let's now start our session with the usual, with the reflective and reading of the myth and the science of it. So we're going to start off with this, how our beliefs in principle become our reality and our destiny. So belief is shaping our reality, we can say. And if we take this example from the sociologist Robert Merton, and this guy is from 1948, he created this term, self-fulfilling prophecy, which is kind of like this, a false belief or expectation that through some kind of behavior, the causes, they become true in a way. So for an example, if we say, I am unlucky in love, then we act with fear, and relationships, they kind of confirm our beliefs. So in psychology, later on, it got explained by this term called Pygmalion effect. And this means that when the teachers were believing that the students were gifted, those students performed better. So this was also based upon belief, but the belief then affecting other humans than ourselves. So we can see through these examples that belief is actually activating potential, and our perception then, it becomes our reality that way. So shamanism and quantum thinking, they confirm this. Belief is not just mental, it's energetic as well. So we can talk about the beliefs as filters of perception. So our subconscious beliefs are like these colored lenses in our mind, and they decide for us what to notice and what to ignore. And this is connected to this very element, which is called the RAS, reticular activating system. And this is a place in the brain, which we mentioned in the previous session, Trisha, which literally filters reality to match our belief systems and expectations. So if we combine this with the quantum field and shamanic understanding, well, then our field is broadcasting our beliefs as a frequency out there. And then, of course, the life is mirroring this inner broadcast of ours. So when we say that a combination of our belief and behavior, energy and reality, it kind of connects all of this to the thoughts which are triggering emotion and action. So emotion will always imprint, in a way, our energy field. And then the field will signal to the life, magnetizing and matching experience, which is based on our belief in the fundament, so on our perception. So let's look at the trauma imprints as these subconscious prophecies, we can call them, because these are some of the prophecies which we actually, without even being conscious, we call upon ourselves, So unhealed trauma, it can kind of recreate this hidden negative prophecy. For an example, we can say about ourselves, people leave me. And this will be in a way sabotaging our intimacy, because this is an expectation of ours, which is connected to this system in the brain called RAS, which is actually filtering the reality in connection to our belief systems and our expectations. So this is very interesting and very important to know, Trisha, because when we know this element of our psyche, we can use it as a tool, make it conscious, and then we can influence when we notice that our actions and our belief systems are really driving us toward unconscious action. Then we can really adjust our behaviors and our thoughts and actions and even perceptions, belief systems, making us actually masters of our own life. Very important to know this. So let's remember this. So, for an example, if we say that like life is unsafe, this will always trigger this chronic, contraction in our bodies. So we need to stay conscious, really, about our belief system so that we can line up this really positive, and happy present and the future for ourselves. So psychology is calling this like the state-dependent behavior. Shamanism is calling this karmic or energetic imprinting. But both of those, they say that the past is kind of predicting the future until we break this loop, of ours. So how do we break this mythical pattern? So the prophecy is shifting when we, as the first, recognize the old script which is keeping us stuck. And we can name this pattern, for example, to make it easier for ourselves. And then when we feel this pattern, we can release the emotional charge of this belief system of ours. And we can do that, of course, with really simple but really effective tools, breath work, fire ceremony, or even, bodily practice like a somatic recall, of our body and mind. So we can also, then as the step 3, we can kind of write and rehearse, so to say, a new perspective, a new prophecy. And we can do this through ritual, through visualization, and also include elevated emotion. This is always an important component when we want to change our fundamental belief systems and perceptions of reality. So always really important to include the elevated emotion in whatever we're endeavoring to change within our minds, So shamans, in a way, well, we can say they rehearse the future in ceremony and through ceremony. And they kind of offer to the fire, whatever needs to be changed, rearranged. And this can also be done through this concept of despacho, the offering, which we mentioned yesterday in our teachings. So shamans also speak gratitude for what has not yet arrived. And kind of this is seeding this new prophecy into the field. So what are the practical rituals that we can use to kind of rewrite our subconscious programs, and in this way of our session, rewrite the prophecy of ours? So fire ceremonies, as mentioned, well, they're so beautiful and effective, low cost, high efficiency tool, really. And how do we do this? For an example, we can write an old belief on a piece of paper, and then throughout the fire ceremony, we can burn this piece of paper and metaphorically simply dissolve and, in a way, whisper a new prophecy into the, smoke rising up from the burned paper. So this is metaphorical action, but since our mind and this reticular activating system is acting upon our inner beliefs, so when this is connected to this action, the mind interprets this as reality, and this becomes our reality actually, when these belief systems are aligned. So we can also, in a way, by doing the energetic cord clearing, we can release a lot of energy which is stagnant in our field. So this can also loosen the grip of the old belief systems and like these relationships that we have a tendency to build up, which are reinforcing some of the prophecies which are bad for ourselves. So Trisha, let's have a few reflective questions. Maybe I'll be lucky enough that you engage if you like some of the questions. So I'd like to ask you, and this is also good for all of us and our viewers to kind of reflect upon when they want to assess themselves in their subconscious minds and change their fundamental belief systems. So, first question, what old subconscious belief system or prophecy has been quietly shaping your life? Do you have any of those which you can kind of recognize and bring forth and would love to share with us if so?
One that used to, um, it was there for a long time, but I have pretty much overcome it. Every once in a while it'll pop up again, is unworthiness, being good enough. Plagued me for a very long time throughout my life. I have done a lot of inner work with that, and I know that it's not true. Every once in a while it rears its ugly head because when you spend a good portion of your life feeling that, allowing that to hold on to you and reinforce itself, it's hard to completely banish it. But that was one thing that controlled my life for a very, very long time.
Thank you, Trisha. Thank you for sharing this very also, intimate, private sharings, and I really appreciate, being so honest. And also allow me to say that, these kind of woundings are connected to our inner child healing, and these are really also throughout our teachings. We are really also connecting this inner child healing as the most important part of our healing as adults. If we are to be able really to have a stable, coherent life, in our present, you know. So thank you for sharing. This is really important to be able to observe, for you to know how to help yourselves and stabilize yourself now and for the future. So let me now ask you, as a connection to this first question, how does how has that belief affected your behavior and the energy which you then broadcast into the field? Would you be able to answer a little bit on that question, please? So,
Well, it affected like all of it affected all of my relationships, you know, throughout my life, all of my romantic relationships, and even just friendships and things like that, because I never felt like I was worthy of them. And I always expected them to end. You know, that was
mm,
self fulfilling prophecy because I never expected it
mm,
to last. So they didn't.
yeah, yeah,
Simply
it's
because
it's
this,
it's it's really, it's, we can say, magical in a way, in a negative way, magical, how we can really predict what will happen to us because we feel this, and we can even, you know, later on say, wow, this really feels like something supernatural that I was going through. How could I predict this for so many times? And
right.
you know, as we stay here and mirror each other on these teachings and share these teachings and evolve together, well, I can also be open and say that I have also been my own self-fulfilling prophecy in exactly the same way like you. I have seen my relationships fall apart before they fell apart. So I think this is really, we can maybe even make this, let me say, it's not an assumption, but a logical conclusion, because most of us adults, we are going through these unhealed inner child woundings, and we even don't recognize them. And I think the mutual self-fulfilling prophecy element that we are sharing is really being shared with a lot of guys out there in the world, but seldomly we speak about these. So thank you, you know, for being open and sharing your inner, you know, soul and truth. Thank you for that, Trisha.
You're welcome.
And as the last question in this part, is there anything now that you would like to broadcast from today now, since you're aware and have observed these parts of yourself for a long time now? Is there anything that kind of is coming right now to your mind that you would like to implement for the future and then broadcast this signal into the field? Is there anything that you may?
Just continued self forgiveness, remembering to continually forgive yourself and to accept that forgiveness.
Mm. Yes, beautiful. Thank you. I guess that goes for all of us,
Yeah.
what you just shared, something we all of us can use and implement in our daily, and really as a firm and solid fundament as well throughout our lives. Thank you. So let's continue with the second part of our transmission here. So now we have reached the part where we are going to be talking about the Pachakuti, the prophecy of Pachakuti. So here comes this moment in every cycle when we can say, in an artistic way, poetic way, like the horizon is bending, everything is changing. So when we thought that this beginning has a solid, like, land beneath our feet, and the very architecture of our reality, it kind of feels like is turning upon itself. And this is this myth and the prophecy of the Pachakuti. So, in the Q'ero tradition, our tradition of the high Andes, well, this moment is called Pachakuti. Pacha means the world, space, time, and Kuti means to turn, to return in a way, to transform, to change. So Pachakuti means literally the great turning. And this means that this is a global change, really. It's not a seasonal change, but like a complete, well, a reordering of time itself, even, and space. So in this moment, we can say that the past and future, they meet in a way in the hands of the present, And the Q'ero say then that the past, which stands before us, because it can be seen, and the future is standing behind us because it's unborn. So hidden from our eyes, it is this future of ours. That's why it is explained as it is in behind. Pipa and Napa, these two terms that we learned in yesterday's session about future and past perception of the Q'ero. So in this time of Pachakuti, both of these aspects can be touched, both the Napa and the Kipa, the future and the past. And both are accessible to us because this linear illusion is dissolving. So time kind of begins to fall back upon itself and it coils, actually like the serpent, like the mythical showings of the serpent and the cycles of rebirth and regeneration. So in the Pachakuti, we are not bound by the momentum of our old stories. We kind of become this river of our life. And this repetitive path, the loopy life that we are leading, the very habitual, behavior that we are living, most of us as humans, this is changing, it's redirected. So this is why shamans are calling this a world reversal. It's kind of this moment where the dreamer, ourselves, they realize that they're dreaming with their eyes open, and therefore they can change their dream. So modern science is echoing this as well. And this again connects it to this filter system of ours in the brain, reticular activating system, which is one more filtering our reality according to the patterns that we already accepted. So this is meaning that our expectations are shaping our perceptions, and our perceptions are shaping our reality, which then makes our perceptions our self-fulfilling prophecies. Very important to know, and very important tools to be aware of when we want to help ourselves to come out of some unhealthy loops that we've been reliving in our lifetimes. So once more, our expectations are shaping our perceptions, and our perceptions are shaping our experiences. And thereby, our experiences are becoming our self-fulfilling prophecies or becoming our belief systems and thereby our reality. In Pachakuti, this filter is kind of loosening, and we can say that new possibilities for the humankind are available and they're kind of slipping through this portal. And then, well, we can say in the spirit of the hummingbird medicine that the impossible is starting to feel inevitable. So this ancient prophecy, which is saying that this is the time of Pachakuti, saying that the eagle of the north and the condor of the south will be flying together. And they will be in this union of vision and heart, sky and earth. Then also masculine and feminine will be balanced, and they will be restoring this balance in the world. This is a beautiful prophecy. I really love this prophecy. And it feels like it's the right time. And it feels like it's really happening in this time. So this prophecy is not about the world out there, alone. It's about our inner world. And this is a great point. So this is saying to us literally that the medicine of the ego, it has to kind of to open up from within ourselves and kind of open our heart to make it this area for the medicine of the eagle to be flying into exploring, And this is connected to the condor, where we are kind of through this medicine, we are holding the connection to compassion. And this is allowing us that all the timelines that we are imagining for ourselves as our best possible timelines to be embraced back to ourselves and kind of interwoven together. So this is the work of this module in its core, to step consciously into this turning of times and space, and to bring coherence into our field by conscious awareness and observation of ourselves and conscious use of these tools that really can enable us to change and to heal, to really to align ourselves, to be able to experience this embodiment in the best possible way, healthy, whole. So that's where we are going to. So, bringing this and merging all these scattered timelines like into this very huge, abundant timeline. And this is in no way some kind of fantastic fantasy future. It is our birthright. All of the humans have this as a birthright. And it's existing right now. It is kind of open for all humans to step into if they choose so by their belief systems. So if we look at the concept of the field of infinite possibilities, then every version of ourselves that has ever lived, we can say both the child that was dreaming freely or the present self, which was walking through these fires of transformation and spiritual awakening. And then the future self. If we imagine this future self already living in abundance, existing in the field, well, we can then, as we did the other sessions, merge them into one coherent self and in a way make them aligned with this highest frequency which is available to us now. So we know that we are doing this through elevated emotion. So remembering that emotions like gratitude, joy, love, freedom, well, these are not just some kind of feel-good states, they're these really deep energies they're kind of ensuring the coherent state to arrive and to arise. And this state is kind of important to make the field listen, to be able to pull this future of ours into our present, and then we become, in a way, this tuning fork that calls upon this abundant timeline into resonance with our present life. And this is very doable, and we are going to get there in this course as well. So in Pachakuti, we are not creating this abundant timeline from scratch. We are kind of remembering it from our core as humans, from this pole of mutual wisdom that the humans have been evolving and developing for millennia. So by this remembrance, we kind of realign ourselves to a version of ourselves that kind of always was walking this timeline and this prophecy. So we can simply step into this pattern which was waiting for us all along. So it's the very last round Pachakuti for this part of the session. You can see the great turning of time. Like the reality is listening right now. And this means that the quantum field is very wide open to achieve these abundant timelines, which already are here for us and available. So, Trisha, a few more reflective questions. And well, let me ask just right away, number one question. So, are there any parts of your life right now in the present which you can recognize that they're kind of repeating or they're stuck in time? Are there any loops, some actions that you can kind of recall just now that you can observably see as something that could be like looping in time and stuck in time and could be changed for the better?
Tend to procrastinate.
Hmm. Well, I guess we all do sometimes. It's
That's one of my major issues, and I don't know if that is tied to fear of failure, or I don't know what it is, but that's a major issue for me.
Hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I think once more, this is a common problem for a lot of us humans, but I already can see that you have a great advantage just by knowing this, just by being aware of this, in all these places where you can at the moment recognize that you're into something which can be better according to your abundant future. You can always kind of correct yourself a little bit once in a while, and enter in a way a new perception of yourself, which then by a new perception, fresh perception, becomes your belief system and your healthy whole reality, and this goes for all of us really. And it's simple, really, but it needs practice and discipline, repetition until these new belief systems kind of get installed into our routine, daily routine. So there's hope at the end of the tunnel, definitely, for all of us. so, we can ask also a question, just like for the viewers and for us. How would our reality change if we approached all of these like small repetitive issues that we can see as something that we need to heal yet? How would this change if we saw time as a circular notion, but not as a linear? And thinking deeper, this question is really good because, this course is about understanding the notion of the circular time and the spiral of time. And if we were brought up from the start of our lives, outside of the linear perception of time, well, I think that we would have been dealing with our unhealed parts in a completely different way. We'll be actually almost in real time be healing ourselves as we go in our lives, and experience things that they can challenge us and bring new belief systems and perceptions into our field, which then in turn create parts of our personality and reality. And then we know that if we want to change our reality, we have to change our personality. And this is really at the core of the major change for any human. And maybe this truth is a little bit hurtful as well, because it needs a lot of work and a really deep change. So to be able to change our reality, we have to change our personality. And this is really one of the most important parts of this becoming the optimal version of ourselves. We will get there in the module tomorrow. So we mentioned also that to collapse these time loops, rituals, breath work, ceremonies recommended, because this is very much connected to our ancient mind, the amygdala, and this kind of disconnects us from the survival loop and makes us prone to consciously change our behaviors, perceptions. So, Trisha, we have reached the part 3 of our transmission. And theme here, well, we're going to talk about this integrative spiral of time. And we're going to look at this from perspective of embodying prosperity through Kausai Pacha. And Kausai Pacha, this is this universal time, the universe as the whole creation, which is also a term coming from the Q'ero nation. So Kausai Pacha is representing the living cosmos. And in the Q'ero tradition, shamanic tradition, the cosmos is seen as alive. So they call it Kausai Pacha, the living world or the living cosmos. And then this says to us that every river kind of has a memory. Every mountain has consciousness. Every breath then becomes a conversation with life itself. And then when we then walk in alignment with Kausai Pacha, we're not longer chasing abundance, we are becoming abundance. Because our frequency and our actions, they kind of harmonize with this living web of reciprocity, aini, harmony, which we mentioned yesterday as a concept of harmonic relation to the future and to the whole from the Q'ero nation as well. So if you look at prosperity as a timeline and not as some kind of energetic transaction, this changes the whole picture, because most of us, we are taught to see prosperity as a kind of set of linear stops. Work harder, earn more, spend more, risk more, or repeat action. So if we change this to spiritually visualize, lay an intention, and then wait, and through this process, it kind of, crystallizes through the field. And in this circular time and quantum energy medicine, prosperity becomes this frequency, a timeline we can embody. And this becomes this living relationship then with Kausai Pacha. And then when we broadcast this gratitude and generosity, the spiral of time is opening for us, really. And then in a way, we are serving life, and life is serving us in a way. This creates the reciprocity with the cosmos, with the living cosmos. So when we live in harmony, aini, this is sacred reciprocity, then every offering is becoming like this seed of potential in the quantum field. And this will always return to us multiplied as health, love, job opportunities, growth, wealth. So our destiny line then in the quantum field, we can imagine this, see this from perspective. Our life has a destiny line, and we can see this one as this most luminous current, most optimal timeline for us. And it's kind of flowing through the quantum field. And it's linking our past, present, and the future selves. So once we align these three aspects of us, then opportunities, they begin to appear to us really effortlessly. And all of our work and creation really becomes so effortlessly created in a kind of like a creative flow. So synchronicities then begin to guide us, and our energy broadcasts clarity, coherence. So by misalignments of our field, this will always cause scarcity and stagnation as feedback loops. So we have to stay conscious, not to allow our old prophecies to dominate the things that we are aware of, some of the woundings that still be needing worked on, You can consciously not allowing the domination of our unhealthy loops, because these kind of repeat cycles of limitation for all of us and hinder our evolution, hinder our maximal abundant present state, so that we can really live a happy and a prosperous life. So prosperity activation, then, this is not about forcing wealth. It's kind of like stepping into this luminous destiny track and just allowing life to happen to us. And with this perspective of being in service to the living cosmos, well, this then becomes really an abundant and manifestatively aligned timeline to be into. So how can then notion of the circular time fuel our prosperity? Well, let's compare for a while. In linear thinking, abundance is always distant from us. It will be abundant someday, you can say. Well, then in circular time, abundance is now, and every breath is kind of this exchange of energy with the universe, with the great cosmos. So every grateful thought that we have, kind of broadcasting this new destiny, abundant destiny of ours. We can also say that every ritual that we hold in Aini is kind of anchoring our timeline in this spiral of abundance, of plenty. So let's remind ourselves, when we combine a state of heart-brain coherence with the elevated emotions, and then also with the ritual offering or service to life, service to the greater whole, we are allowing our energy and our potential to enter this prosperity spiral. And then we can say that the field is delivering more to us than our effort in the linear notion could ever do. So I got a few more reflective questions before we step into the last part of our session with guided outro meditation. So Trisha, may I ask you, what does prosperity feel like in your body beyond money or material form? Could you describe with one word or a few words the feeling of prosperity in your body, but beyond money and material form?
Well-being, just comfort and peace. Um, yeah, well-being, just a sense of well-being, not having to worry about anything. That's
I
what
see.
it is. Just knowing that everything's all right.
Beautiful. This reminds me actually of Aini, of harmony, because this knowing that all is well, let's call it like wellness. We want to feel well and be well. And we want well for everything else around us as well, to be able to be well. And this is really
And that I'm
describing.
supported,
uh,
that I'm supported, that I feel a sense of support all around me.
That makes great sense. Makes great sense, really.
That's abundance, just feeling supported. I don't need all the things. I'm
Hmm.
one that needed all the things. Um,
Hmm.
love, support, comfort, peace. To me,
Hmm.
that's abundance.
Okay. Well, makes great sense. Thank you. Thank you, Trisha. Well, okay. We have reached this part of our session where we are going to have this guided outro visualization meditation combination this time. So you and I, we are going to call upon this prosperity destiny line activation in this concept of Kausai Pacha, the living cosmos. So we are going to interact with the living cosmos through the quantum field, and we are going to install this prosperous destiny line into our present. So first, let's enter this state of heart-brain coherence. And we have to do this by taking some conscious breaths. So let's find a comfortable position. And if you wish so, just place one hand on your heart and one hand on your lower belly. And let's inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4 again, and repeat the cycle for a couple of times, please. Gently allowing our heart space to cohere, and with each breath, our heart and brain synchronize. And as we breathe, let's imagine this circle widening around. And let's imagine this is a medicine wheel in motion. And let's then allow the 4 winds to rise and the ground to hum. And looking above, the sky curves like the eagle's wing, holding the pattern of our becoming. And this is Pachakuti, a great rearranging of time. In this turning, let's call our inner child, the bright-eyed, unguarded, still believing that the world is magic. Let's see that inner child running towards us now. And greet that inner child. Accept it into your field. Now let's call our future selves, steady and radiant, and already living in this abundant timeline. And watch them step forward. Let's allow them to merge with our field. And here in the present moment, let's open our arms to both our inner child and our future selves. Let's merge innocence and wisdom, possibility and mastery into one coherent self that can walk any timeline you choose. Now let's breathe in gratitude for the journey that has brought us here. Let's breathe in joy for the beauty already unfolding. And let's breathe in love for the connections that weave our life. And then let's breathe in freedom for the truth that we are creating now. Now let's see these timelines before us, scattered like threads of light. And one by one, they spiral inward, drawn by the coherence and magnetism of our heart and the clarity of our vision. And all these paths, they weave into a single golden braid, the most abundant timeline, pulsing with possibility, humming with your name. And as the eagle soars above, seeing this great pattern, you rise too, carried by the energies of Pachakuti into this field of infinite creation. Now let's imagine mountains and rivers and stars, acknowledging our presence. And let's offer a silent thank you to Kausai Pacha, to the living cosmos, carrying us so gently. Let's affirm that I walk in Aini, I give and I receive. I serve the living cosmos. So welcome back on your own time. Open your eyes and gently touch your hands a little bit. Wiggle your feet. Welcome to the present moment. So our session is coming to the end, and in a way we can say that day 4 is completing this journey of belief as our manifestative system, and also our understanding that the destiny and circular time in action, they're connected together. So we have also learned in this session that how our expectations and perceptions shape our belief systems and then create our reality. which is a very important tool for us to carry in our everyday life. So, Trisha, thank you for being here today again with me, and hopefully we'll join for the last module tomorrow. I wish you a very, very good evening out there, and thank you for being here once more.
Thank you.